Hey guys, welcome back. This is my ink journal flip through or excuse why it's not updated or why I haven't shared most of it yet because, I like to overthink even when it comes to my ink journals. And this is supposed to be like a perpetual journal. I don't want to keep changing. I have been changing since I was really trying to find a way that it addresses everything that I have concerns with. Like, is it going to bleed? Is it legible even in my handwriting? Or are these bottles of ink just good for paperweight or something like that? So, this is still not complete, but it's going to give you roughly an idea why it takes me so long and why I'm so lazy and why I think this is efficient enough for me. For this part of the ink swatch, I think it's much better that I switch to my phone because I can get in closer on when I describe the details or talk about the details of the book. So this is the Nothing Planner, and then there obviously there's going to be a monthly section in this book, and this is what I have in that. I want to swatch all the inks that I have together in the same family, and I haven't obviously finished it because these are not the only brown inks that I have. And I have my pinks, which I really do not have much pink inks to begin with. And then blues also, and gray inks. I do not have black inks because I think I just rather use an ordinary gel pen if I was gonna pick black anyway. Yeah, I have purple, which I do not have much of as well. Obviously, the greens are here, they're alive and strong. More greens. We're going to be talking about those bleeding stuff later. And then you're going to have the weekly part. And this is a vertical journal. So I get to have those swatches on top the and sample writings because it's really important for me to know how it's going to look like in the pen that I'm going to be inking it with. And we're going to go through the details in a while. I'd like to keep it within just 5 inks. And then I have then extra space here just in case I want to write notes or people want to see ink comparisons or something like that. But then again, this is just like a really free space for me to write. And then I'd like to keep it within the same color family for these five ones. There's no really particular order on what it's gonna look like throughout the journal, but yeah, I'd like to keep it if it's all green, all blue, something like that. You get the idea. And then this is supposed to be green, and the thing is, when you write in it, it becomes green, and then when it dries, it becomes that. So I'll get to that part later, I promise. So you're gonna see that this part is blank because I wanted to try out brown inks, which I haven't touched in ever since the year started. I have not touched any other ink than green. Oh yeah, I forgot. Also, there's a back part. This is where I overthink everything, and this is where I test things. And I decided that it should be here instead of another scratch book that I use because I can look back to this and see why it worked, why it didn't work. Yeah. So we're gonna go through the details from the start, but that is just the basic overview of the ink journal. Starting off with the monthly section, it's going to give you ink swatches of it's like an ink dex. So even my chaos has to be organized in some way, and there are things that I can't exactly control, like when new inks are coming or when I want to swatch a new thing. So the way I organize this is the details that I need are within reach and I don't have to flip through all the pages. This is the anatomy of what it looks like. So you have here the brand and the name of the ink. You have the actual ink blob or swatch, and then you're gonna see a small number here. That's the page where you're gonna see the write up or like the details, because this planner here has like a part where you're gonna see the number. It's a numbered journal. The pages are numbered, so you're gonna see it there. So all I have to do is if I'm gonna look for chlorophyll and I want to see the characteristics of it, I'm just gonna go to page 37, and I know chlorophyll is gonna be there. Now this is how things are done when I do an ink swatch and why it takes me so long. I use the butt of a glass pen here and I just swash ink, and this gives you an idea if it's sheening, if it's shining, if it's shimmering, if it's splendid. And most of the time I do not use shimmer inks, but just in case you're curious, I'm not sure if you're gonna see it properly, but this is Tinkerbell and it has very subtle shimmer, which is what I like really whenever I use wearing dual, because it doesn't clog fountain pens. And hang on. So back to chlorophyll, because you're it's messing up my flow. I just use this and it saves me resources. Like I don't make so much waste when I do it. So I just dunk this in water and I'm fine to go on to the next ink. Now, next is you're gonna see like this giant handwriting, which I normally cannot do. So I use a Kakimori brass nib for that, and this gives you ink properties when written using juicier or more ink generous pens, which I'm never gonna have because almost all my pens are custom grind to an extra fine, and obviously I'm not going to be able to produce this kind of flow without this brass pen. So this is the Kakimori brass pen if it's not focusing. There you go. So I like it. Now this, I'm not sure if I can show you enough, but I like how you can see like it has shading even in other letters, I mean other inks, when I'm not trying to get you dizzy. There you go. See, you're gonna see those. Anyway, next part is I like to write. I'd like to test the ink in pens that I am gonna be using them in. So I know that for chlorophyll, I really wanted it to go with the Olivine fountain pen, and this is what I used. So I inked this with chlorophyll, and I have it also down here what pen I used, if it's a custom nib grind. And with this, considering that I do like white paper or white pages, I know if the ink is legible enough, even if it's a light ink, because you're gonna see these two inks are relatively lighter compared to what I mostly have on, and that helps that I can still read it regardless. So that's another thing addressed in this ink swatch part of the journal. Now, lastly, yeah, I think it's the last. At the back where like I overthink and stuff, this is where you're gonna see like how, I don't know if it's just me or how inks behave with different kind of nibs, because here this is the same ink. I think, yeah. So I had here Urahiro by Kyono Odo. This ink right here. This is what I have used, and I love this ink. I really do. And I used it with my Kinuguno at the time that I did this. I used it with my Kinugumo fountain pen and my Decimo mist. Now you're gonna see that it looks so different comparing it with the swatch right here, and with a juicier pen it looks like this. with the brass nib, it looks like this. And when you go at it at an extra fine nib, it looks like that. And this also helps me figure out what is nice with that ink. And really, it's just like writing out loud kind of section of the journal, kind of like that. Now, also, there are times that I think they're the same. And then when you swatch them side by side, oh, they're not that the same. Could be an excuse for you to buy another bottle of ink, but you know. And then I was going through this gray inks, and then this is when I was like, I wrote this down gray and it dried in purple. And this is exactly why I have trust issues because, well, yeah. Now, also, I played around with a couple of brown, soft brown inks, and yeah, so it's easy for me to look back to, even if it's not the actual ink swatch of the journal. And then all of these bold ones are written with the Kakimori Brass nib, so it keeps it uniform. And then I also tried out the Sad Charade and Lost of Wearing Yule. Initially, I thought they were the same, kind of similar, and then now you're gonna see this is more gray and this is a little more. The thing is, this is blue, this is green, and this is gray all at the same time. And I think I am personally drawn to inks that have a hint of gray, as you're gonna see in these two. And that is what I've been using almost every day with a hydro, and it's just really nice. Also, it's funny because now I tried using the Takahashi custom custom ink by Sailor. So it's this genie in the bottle, and it's a nice ink to use with this decimal, which ended up me having a swatch on how it looks like. And now I decided that this is going to be part of the decimal. If it's not going to be a permanent thing, it's going to be a permanent rotation on the choices for that ink. And yeah, so that's it. Oh, yeah. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope that the next time I get to share this all with you is that when, oh, I forgot. The nice part about these things is that you know which inks would bleed and which inks are friendly because generally, if you look at the swatches, this is pretty good paper because that's all you get. And sadly, it's Birmingham Penco that has been really not been friendly at all with the blobs and all that. But looking at it, hang on. Oh yeah, on the swatch, you're gonna see these three inks bled so badly, and it's just really them. You're gonna see other bleedings, but it's very minimal, and most of the time it's my fault because the ink's pulled a little longer than it's supposed to. But other than that, this is the damage on the next page you're gonna get with this journal, which I really, really love about it. And I tried several journals to have a perpetual ink like swatch in, and so far this is what I'm happy with. So you're gonna see that, but that's really my fault. So I'm willing to admit which is my fault and which isn't because like some are just really bad. And yeah, so this is for real this time. Thank you so much for watching, and ideally I hope the next time that you see this it's a little more full and I have more to show you. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks. Bye.